Today we're going to be talking about Kate Chopin's The Awakening. So I'm going to do this just a tad different. I want to kind of discuss these books as well as do reviews. So I'm going to be experimenting with different formats, I think, on how to do that. So this will be the first one, and this is the one I think will work the best, but you let me know, comment, tell me, message me, whatever. Let me know how you like it. So what we're going to do is we'll do a review first, quickly. I'll tell you what I think, whether it's good or not, and then we'll do half review. Then I'll tell you I'm done with the review, and I'm going to go into the discussion part. So that way, you can avoid any spoilers, and if you've already read it, or you don't care, stick around for the discussion part, and then in the discussion part, I'll talk about like stuff I thought thematically and other things like that. Okay, so let's start. The first part for the review, it was published in 1899, and this is like the first feminist novel written in America, kind of, I guess. But anyway, it's real short. This version of it, this edition's only 116 pages. And, you know, I actually really kind of liked it. I thought it was a good little book. Prose was pretty clean. It wasn't too, it's kind of Edith Wharton-y, like right in that same kind of vein, where it's not too flowery, and it's not too Victorian, but it's also not too sparse and modern either. It's got a nice balance between those two, which makes sense. It's right kind of in like a change of the guard time era. And it's about a woman who's married and has kids, and then she kind of has like an awakening and is trying to find herself, and ultimately has to make some decisions. It kind of reminded me of Edith Wharton's story, and you know what? Wharton probably built upon this as well. I'm sure she read it. But at the same time, Wharton had just like a sense of bite, like a real bite, more than Miss Chopin here. I think it's a use of your last name. Could be wrong and look like an idiot. Who knows? But it's a quick read. It's really interesting, and the questions it brings up are really interesting, especially in the time period. This book was pretty controversial when it came out, and we were looking at the royalties on it. The first year it came out, it was like $102 royalties, which was pretty decent for the time. Then, like, the next year was down to, like, $40, and then, like, $3 the year after that. Just because it was so controversial, it got banned, it got kind of pushed down. But then later kind of was and I think this is the only novel she wrote. She wrote some other stories, but this is the only novel. But then later it was kind of rediscovered and really examined and given, you know, praise for what it was trying to accomplish at the time. So I would give it a solid. I believe I gave it 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And there's nothing wrong with it. But it didn't wallop me with, you know, like a power or emotion or beauty. And, I didn't find anything exceptional about the prose either. It was good. It was solid. It was a solid novel, and it asked interesting questions. So I'm going to give it a 3 for me. But if you're interested in feminist literature, I would definitely go check it out. If you're interested in like modern novels and like the earlier part of the modern era, go check it out. So yeah, and for the ending is was and is continues to be controversial. We had, like, in class, we had this whole thing going back and forth about whether the ending was good or not. So now we're done with the review. I'm going to go into a discussion part of this. So if you don't want any spoilers, please leave. If not, I encourage you to watch through the next couple minutes, and we'll just have a quick discussion. These are just my interpretations or things people in my class were saying. But feel free to comment down below with your own interpretations or your own feelings about the novel. I would love that. I would love nothing more than to have discussions about these books with you guys. So, we were kind of talking about how the three main women in the novel represent society. And you have Adele, oh god, I always butcher, Ratignole. Anyway, she's like the image of like motherhood and kind of like the ideal woman in that society. And you have Miss Rice, I'm going to say Reese, the old pianist lady who is like the other extreme. It's like the unmarried woman who lives on her own and everyone kind of hates her. No one really likes her except Edna, who's the main character. So we have these, they're like the two polar opposites, and Edna kind of sliding back and forth on what side she wants to be in. And then we also had the counterpoint. We were talking about the counterpoint of the three main male figures in the novel. We have Léonce Pontellier. I think that's how you say the name. And again, I could be wrong. Don't know. But you have him, and he's Edna'S husband, and I think he represents sort of not necessarily anything bad, but the expected social norms of that time for men and marriage. And then you have Arobin. I forget what his full name. Alcée Arobin, and he's sort of like the playboy, kind of flaunts the rules of society, but he gets away with it because he's a man. And people still hang out with him even though he has a bad reputation. And I think he's an interesting counterpoint to Miss Reese, where he is much more well-liked, even though he flaunts the rules that he should be following, but kind of a gender difference. And you have Robert, who kind of is like Edna, kind of goes back and forth. He's not as strict as Léonce is, and he's not a crazy playboy like Arobin. But he still kind of leans to a little bit more of the traditional side. And ultimately, I thought that what was interesting, my opinion of the ending of the novel, when she's out there floating and she thinks back to Miss Reese telling her that you have to have the courage, if you're like the artistic soul is all about courage. And I think that's interesting. I think it's kind of like a metaphor for the female soul, and if you're going to try to, fight against these societal rules, you have to have the courage to really accept all the bad stuff that's going to happen. And that Edna knew that she didn't, and that's why she made the decision she made. And I'm not trying to say she shouldn't have done it. Although, I don't know, I don't necessarily agree, but again, I'm not too worried about, the practicality of it. I mean, it's a novel, it's symbolic. But yeah, I still don't want to say what the ending is, just because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But this video is getting a little long, so I'll wrap it up. Again, let me know what you thought, if I need to split it up like that, or if I could have just said what I said and not ruined it for anybody. And if you have any opinions about the endings, please comment below. Let me know. I'd love to hear what other people have to say about it. And as always, happy reading and have a good life.